Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. We're not going to talk about Formula One racing today. We're going to talk about energy, renewable energy, efficiency, other cool topics. So, without any further ado, Jeff, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about the company you represent?
Absolutely. How's it going, everyone? My name is Jeff Brown out of El Paso, Texas. We are a full service commercial and residential solar installation company, and we're licensed in Texas and New Mexico. And we've been riding out the solar waves over the years. I've been in the industry for about 8 years now. My company just had its 5th year anniversary last month. So we made it past the 5 year mark, which everyone says that's when you've made it in the business world. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, it's been a great journey, and I love everything in the renewable energy industry and everything that I've learned thus far being in the industry. So it's a pleasure to be here.
On the 5 year mark, the first rule to grow a business is to stay in business. And that's proof that you're staying in business. So, we hope for to see another 5 years and so on of growth, hopefully, with the new changes like we discussed before the call. But why don't you take us back 5 years ago? What made you join the solar revolution and start a business on your own? And what's the background there?
I started solar just going on 8 years ago, and I was doing financial advising prior to this, insurance, 401ks, that kind of thing. And I was hating it. I wasn't making any money. I was very stressful, very frustrating. And I had met a buddy of mine at the time at the firm I was with, and he didn't stay there very long. He ended up moving to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is a city up in northern New Mexico, to do solar. And for months, he was calling me, texting me, telling me, hey, you've got to move up here. You've got to try this. And I couldn't understand what he was trying to tell me. I said, solar, what do you mean? What are you doing? He said, well, basically we're going, talking to people and trying to get them to put solar on their homes. I said, okay, well, how are you getting this business? How are you getting these people? And he was telling me we were going door to door. And as soon as he said that, I said, nope, I'm out. I remember growing up, I would sell fundraisers door to door for school and stuff like that. And I hated it. So when he mentioned door to door, I tuned out, wasn't paying attention to him. And long story short, fast forward to the summer of that year, I just had some life turn of events where I said, you know what? I'm not going to lose anything if I just pack up on a whim, get out there and give it a shot. I've got nothing else to lose. So I think that was a Tuesday when I had made that decision. And by Friday, I was up in Albuquerque with my truck full
Oh,
of
wow.
stuff and did a quick interview. They gave me a polo, a badge, and said, all right, you're on the team. Get at it. And
Wow.
that was kind of my first stint in solar, if you will. And ironically, that was a Friday. I didn't believe anything they were telling me. I felt like it was some kind of scam. 3 days later, that Monday, I actually had my first close, which
Whoa.
my buddy had split the work with me. He said, "Look, you get in the door, I'll close the deal, and then you'll get half the money." And I think at the time that I will never forget. I think it was something like 30. I want to say it was like $3,200 commission. And
Wow.
I was just like, okay, that sounds too good to be true. But about 4 days later, I had $1,600 in my bank account. And I said, okay, well, maybe this
There's
is something that I ought to pay attention to. And about 3 weeks after that, I did my very first close on my own. It was a Saturday morning. I remember speaking with the family. I remember the house. I remember everything. It was a very, very large system. And I think the commission on that was just under $5,100. And I presented to the family. They loved it. The numbers were saving. And then they said, well, we're not going to do anything today. So we're going to go ahead and we'll think about it and we'll be in touch with you. And I was so bummed and defeated. I remember leaving that house. And as soon as I got back in the truck, I was just like, wow, maybe this isn't for me. And there was a gas station about half a mile away. So I went to go get some water, just get some snacks. And before I was even leaving the gas station, I had a call and they said, hey, it's the family you were just with. We want you to come and finish up the contract for us so we can go solar with you.
well, that,
So that just kind of kept me moving. A couple months later, the team, the company that I was with, they set up a team of 11 of us and wanted to open the Las Vegas market. So they moved us out to Las Vegas. It was kind of uncharted territory. That office was very difficult. It was a hard market to get going, so we didn't last very long. I want to say I got out there probably in September of that year, and by New Year's I was calling it quits. I said I can't work with this company anymore. I can't work in this market. The politics were just not good. The leadership was not good. And then I remember running into a Vivint guy knocking doors, and he said, let me take you to lunch and I want to kind of decipher what you guys are doing. And when we were sitting there at the table, he started running our calculator backwards and he said, man, you guys are really, really doing people disservice with what this company is charging. And we didn't know anything about the numbers at the time. So it was after that where I lost my momentum with that company and decided to move back home, recalibrate myself and get something started. So him and I moved back that year, and we said, you know what, why don't we try doing the same thing? So we filed an LLC. We found a co-working space for $80 a month, started working off with myself, him, and two other people. And it was maybe 30 days in, and we had 28 sales reps, and we were making really good money. I mean, hindsight's 2020. We didn't really think anything would change, and so we kept things moving. The team was growing, the deals were growing, and we decided to find a permanent office. So we found a really nice. It was an old gym, and we had these plans to convert it to an awesome office with glass, almost like a Google office, pool table, kegerator, wine bar, kitchenette, the whole 9 yards to be the coolest shop in town. We even put our conference room next to the garage, oxyed the whole thing, hung Ferrari flags and Lamborghini flags, and then parked our cars in there. And it was kind of a cool vision, but we spent all our liquidity on the build out. It was about $100,000. And then the rent that we locked in for 5 years was $9,500 a month. So
Whoa.
we were like, oh man, we could do this, no problem. And well, then COVID happened and everything came crashing down. So we had a rude awakening. We were running Albuquerque, Denver, where I was living at the time, and El Paso, Texas. And my partner and I just decided let's split ways. It was kind of a bad breakup. Him and I had always wondered how we go from being the door knocker to the sales organization, and then sales organization to licensed installer. And that year when we split up, the stars aligning. I ended up meeting a gentleman who became my project manager, introduced me to my master electrician, and we've been installing solar ever since. Just got licensed in New Mexico last year, which is one of the hardest things to do. And we hold the Texas and New Mexico contractor's license.
Wow, what a story. I can feel the emotions that you were going through at all of the stages, because it was bringing back memories that I went through when I first joined Solar Revolution on my end, when I moved actually to the United States to do it. And that was the same thing. But I quickly learned to love door knocking. I hated cold calling. Cold calling was never for me. I still hate picking up the phone and doing cold calling. I don't have to do it right anymore, or right now at least. Door knocking was kind of like an exercise for me. Plus, I felt comfortable because I was doing the installations myself in that same area. So people were a little bit more familiar with me, and one wanted to throw stones at me when I knocked on their doors. I mean, some exceptions. There's people threatening us with guns, but that was rather rarity. But I kind of liked it because I was doing in my steps. I was kind of like working out with my back, but we had like, I don't know, like 5 gallons of water each in those ice buckets, so because it was 150. It's pretty much the same weather as today, which is 115 to 120. Dornicking at that climate, in that climate, was challenging, but I kind of loved it. But yeah, I remember that first check that hit, and it was like, yeah, there might be something, like you said, there might be something behind it. Cool. And then you went through all those stages. Now you're officially, this is the when you start installing. So that's the 5-year mark for you when you start installing, 5 year of installations.
Yep. Yeah. So 5 months and 1 year in. I'm sorry, 5 years, 1 month, and I got that switched around. Yes. So this is our 61st month in business, and it's been quite the ride. Things have been difficult as well. I mean, what I do like about it though is that I don't have any partners. It's just myself. So my victories are my victories. My mistakes are my mistakes. I don't have to split it with anyone, or it's just a lot easier to run the business like that. And sometimes it does feel lonely having to be the main decision maker and make things happen like that. It does get quite difficult. But I think the one thing that I've learned with solar is that it does take time to get your name out there. I look at so many more rookie business people that are starting off, and they think they have a network, and they think that network is their net worth. And it just doesn't work out that way. When I first started, I said, this is going to be the easiest thing ever. I know so many people. I got a notebook, piece of paper, and I wrote down 26 homeowners. And I was like, I'm going to hit them all up. If I do $3,000 commission on each one, I'm going to be making all this money. Not a single person went solar with me from that list. All friends and family. I was in awe. And it wasn't until probably about the 4-year mark where people started recognizing that I was doing solar. I mean, it took 4 years of me posting and me knocking doors and making connections for people to realize that that's what I was doing. And even at that point, I still had some friends and close neighbors go solar with other companies, which felt like a betrayal because I'd worked so hard. But now we don't have any door knockers. We don't do anything like that. It's all word of mouth. All the businesses have been coming in from subcontractor connections, or we specialize working with high network folks and doctors. So the doctor community talks and things like that. So it's a different kind of clientele. It's a different kind of perspective, but I prefer that over the traditional model, which I started in.
Like it. And what do you like the most and what do you like the least about running the show by yourself?
I think what I like most about it is that I don't have to worry about conflict with other partners. That's one of the one things, regardless if it was solar or any other business that I was doing, conflict was always an issue. Even if it started out great, it always came to an end. And then I think what I least like about it is that if I'm not at the point where it's everything's just running fluid. So if I wake up one day and I'm not as productive, or I'm not as conscious with my time, then things fall behind, things get behind, and it's very hard to play catch up. So I would like to focus more in the coming months on automating and
Yeah.
possibly implementing some AI so that I don't have to be as involved.
I was about to say we can talk about it in a second, but first on the partnerships, I do see that many people in the business space underestimate how much it goes into a partnership and how much it should go into choosing a right partner. I mean, at the end of the day, we all are, we have similarities, but we have differences as well. We all have separate lives. It's not like you're always entering a partner with like with a life partner as well, or a friend or family member. That's sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But the partnerships aspect of it, it's, I mean, you spend a lot of our time, we spend a lot of our times working, growing a business, obviously, even more time probably than if you would work for someone else. And the partnership in that scenario is such an important thing that if you don't choose your partners wisely, if you don't talk over things before you even enter a partnership, that might end up in a sour scenario here. But I'm glad you found your path. You know it from both sides because you worked with partners previously. Now you work by yourself. You know what works better for you, and I'm glad it's working out. As far as the innovations, I was first wanted to ask if you ever thought about bringing on like a CEO to run the show for you, operations manager, if you will, where you would focus on growing the business, maybe from having like a top view and growing the business from that perspective.
Yeah, I don't think we're big enough for that, and I don't know how much longer I plan to be fully in the industry. I was kind of thinking of creative ways to get out of the installation side and maybe get more so on the problematic side where people are having issues with financing and home transfer and home equity and the loans and things like that. I think there's a big market need for that, and there's plenty of bad situations to clean up. So I've been kind of looking into that side of it, but I also I don't want to say I completely switched gears because I'm dealing with business owners, property owners, homeowners, that kind of thing. So I said, my girlfriend, she's a realtor, and I'd been observing her for a few months, and I said, I wonder how difficult this really is. I mean, I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of people, and this would be something that I could supplement my current clients with. So I knocked out getting my license in 5 weeks for Texas. And so now I want to say I don't want to say nationwide because I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I'm pretty confident within a 300 to 400 mile radius, I'm probably the only licensed realtor and licensed electrical contractor. So when it comes down to the great solar debate, where the realtors are saying solar is bad and contractors are saying, oh, I can actually say I have a perspective from both ends of the spectrum now.
I like it, and I'm a licensed realtor as well here in in California, in Southern California, for actually probably over 5 years now. And I'm coming
Nice.
from the solar space, right? So every time I hear agents talking bad or talking good about solar, I'm just listening and stepping aside and laughing because I know what's truth and what's just their opinion to pamper their client and hopefully close a deal, get the transaction, which is something that obviously everyone wants. I mean, involved in the transaction wants. So that's always funny to hear, but it's great to have both sides, and I'm glad you're always continue to develop yourself and add skill sets to your to add skill sets to your repertoire. That's the only word that
Abs-
comes to mind, right? I don't like that word. It's a pretty nice word right there. So
Absolutely.
yeah, you're licensed realtor. You are doing a lot of residential, commercial, solar as well. You mentioned innovations. Where do innovations come into play in that ecosystem, in your opinion? What were you thinking about?
So what I'm trying right now, and I'm doing it more so for real estate, but I've subscribed to an AI caller system where I'm building out my own agent to do outbound and outreach calls for different programs that I'm doing. So it takes about a month to build it. It was a very expensive program, but I said, you know what, I've got the capital. I want to start investing into outreach programs. I don't want to deal with any outside lead gen companies or marketers, things like that. So I'm investing into this AI platform to see what returns I can generate as far as getting appointments set on the real estate side and on the solar side. But I'm more so interested in seeing what I can do to continue to make solar feasible in the commercial side. And I have some really good ideas that I don't want to quite divulge on yet. I want to get them into action, but it deals with eventually getting property owners to be able to charge for their solar usage so that they can get a return on their investment without having access to the tax credit. And I'm putting together a roadmap for that. And then, like I said, going back to the solar financing issues that we've seen across the country, the brain has been kind of formulating some ideas and seeing what we can do to attack that side of it, and maybe hopefully get myself fully out of installation. We don't do a lot of volume annually, but we do enough volume and overheads light to where it's very lucrative. But I'm just getting burned out from being in the construction side, and I love problem solving, but every job site's different, especially on the commercial side. And we spend a lot of time putting these deals together for clients without ever seeing any kind of money come in. I mean, if you go to a client and say, hey, I'm going to charge you $1,000 for an analysis or something like that, and you have another guy that comes in and says, no, I'll do it for free, you're always going to lose that business. A quick story, we actually had a company from Mexico come into the market. They're one of the largest in meat in Mexico, and they're building a $22 million facility here in El Paso, and solar was one of the aspects of it. So ironically, I had reached out to one of the ladies who I know. I went to elementary school with her daughter, and the husband ended up being the architect on that project. So we talked. She got me in touch with the principal over a year ago. It was end of June, beginning of July last year. And I did numerous site visits, numerous site plans, reports, did all kinds of things for them. Tried pressing them like mid-October, November, and said, guys, it's ground up. Now's the time to lay piping, to lay wire, to do all that in the dirt, build these parking canopies before we have to start tearing up asphalt and concrete and then redoing it. Nope, They wanted to wait. Holidays came, they wanted to wait. Early this year, they wanted to wait, and I kept driving by the job site, and I saw the facility getting bigger and bigger, and I was like, man, this is going to get more and more complex. And so we ended up waiting until, when was it? It was mid-June, I want to say, that they said, hey, it's corporate. We have to release an RFP and we have to get 3 bids, but you've been consulting us. We've been building this based on your recommendations. It's pretty much guaranteed. So great. So my team sat down, we put everything together, tightened our numbers. We were at about 3.9 million. It was just under $4 million. And it was extremely exciting. They released the RFP and they were like, we're looking for a system that can generate 390,000 kilowatt hours a month. And I said, that is absurd. That is a lot of energy. And I'm not just going to put what you guys want on your roof. So I dialed it back, scaled it back, and said you need about 200,000 kilowatt hours a month. And then they said they want it based on 0.5 hours of peak sunlight. And I said, great. If you really want it to be running at that efficiency, you're going to need a 2.7 megawatt system. And I said, that's going to cost you upwards of $5-6 million with what we're working here. And they didn't like that. So then I guess they went out and got 3 bids, and they said, hey, you're the most expensive one, but can you refine what you're bidding, because we want to compare apples to apples. So they went from the RFP saying we want like 2,000 some odd solar panels to my recommendation of 1,438 panels. We also told them, let's stay under a megawatt. So we were at 999.42 kilowatts. And I said, reason being is once you go over a megawatt on the commercial side, the IRS starts getting involved with financial auditing. So they want to see your company books. They want to see audited financials. It's much more strict. And a lot of folks don't know that. So I said, let's keep it right under the 1 megawatt threshold. But once you go over that, you need prevailing wages, like the Davis-Bacon wage scale. So there's just so many more requirements. And if you miss any of them, then the tax credit goes down to 6% instead of 30%. but most people don't know how to explain that. So I basically redid their entire RFP. We went from 500-watt solar panels, which they were proposing, to my 695-watt recommendation. And this RFP was open for 2.5 weeks. And they ended up going with a cheaper solar company that has never done commercial.
No way.
Yeah. It's gonna be a rude awakening for them. Attempted it last year. The principal guy there told me that they attempted it last year, and the company that they were looking to go with, I didn't understand him. I don't know if he said they left them a deposit or they were about to cut a check, and the next day the company went bankrupt, and so they were pretty spooked about that. But it took me about a week. This was last Monday that I got that information, and I've been pretty salty about it. One of my buddies is the roofing contractor on that project, and he said they had a construction meeting last week. All the subs were laughing at the solar company's proposition because they were proposing doing more of like a carport style deal where they were going to wait until the concrete and the asphalt was laid out and then just basically drill into the ground. And I said that's going to either get hit by a semi truck, it's either going to cave in at the weight, or the windstorms are going to blow it away. They're not proposing any concrete footings. We were looking at going 4 or 5 feet down, metal rebar. I mean, this is going to be sound deal, and I was very confident in our numbers, but they wanted to go the cheaper route up front, so it's going to cost them.
That's the essence of the quiet work no one talks about publicly. And a few comments on that, if you allow me to. First is, I hope that first of all, you deserved a 6-figure consulting fee here, check for your services to saving them headaches and problems down the road. That's just given. And then, I mean, the situation there is just hard to describe. I had no idea about the 1 megawatt structure when you go about that. So that alone should be worth, writing the check for you. And in moments like this, I think Marcus Aurelius, the Stoics, are a great way to calm down and realize things sometimes are not in our control. Most of the things actually are not in our control. So don't focus on that. I know it's easy to say, but it's just difficult to digest sometimes. And I'm glad you went over it. But I wanted to say that in situations like this, there is always something that comes up even better, a better opportunity, better chance for you to shine and bring all your knowledge and expertise and ethics to the table. And I know that it's going to happen. So just be open for something that will come unexpectedly, and you will be surprised. I know it's going to happen. It's always like this, and I know that's how it works.
And I appreciate that. I agree with you. And it's I think it's a type of emotional maturity to come to when you can realize that you wanted something so bad, but you've just got to move on from it and learn from it. And I agree with you. I think that when you lose something like that, it's because something bigger and more substantial is coming. So I just like being able to put out information, like you said, on our Instagram. My videographer was like, man, you've just got to just hit some topics and just start getting out there. And I have friends that don't own homes, don't know anything about solar, and particularly the coffee shop that I'm sitting outside of. My buddy's like, one of the days he's like, dude, I'm in an apartment and I want to buy solar from you. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, because you're not trying to sell me anything. You're just giving free information and it's teaching me. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So I think that's where I've come to love the industry. The money's awesome, but when you're able to offer value, then it's a given. So I'm not out there chasing the money. I'm out there chasing the opportunity to provide value and hopefully help people navigate quicker than I navigated. It took me 8 years to get where I'm at. So if I can say something that helps streamline someone's process, then I feel it's a victory in my way.
I mean, it's the process, first of all, the photovoltaics system, how it works, how nature works to provide us with energy. That alone is complex. Then you have the technology aspect of it, how to combine semiconductor cells and all the bypass diodes and what have you to make it work, put it in and encompass it all in a panel with some silver or black frame, what have you, put it all together on white or black sheet, wire it and wire it together. That's one thing. Then you have the financial aspect of it, like how do you pay for it? Why do you pay for it? How much should you pay for it? Why shouldn't you finance or not finance? What's the PPA? What's the lease? What's the financing? Pay out of pocket. Then you have the interconnection, utility company. Are they going to cooperate? Are they not going to cooperate? In Texas, you have more freedom than here in California. We have monopoly here. So that's based on where you are. If your house is under one utility company, then that's what you have. If you're under a second one, we have only 2 here in Southern California. I mean, outside of LA, we have only 2 here. Then that's the goal. You can buy another house in different locations if you want to change your utility provider. But unless you do that, you will have to deal with them. So there's so many aspects of it. It's so complex, so complicated that yeah, education is key here. So and if you can educate your potential partners or referral partners or clients before they even get to speak with you about the strategy you should implement, then I mean that's even better because they already come into the table. They already know you. They don't trust you. They know you're the authority in the space. They know you've done it. They know you've saved people a lot of money or headaches, or sometimes you didn't, but they learned the lesson themselves,
Yeah.
and let them learn the lessons if they want to go the hard way. So yeah, that's the education is the key here for sure.
Yeah, and I think anyone can put materials to a roof. Anyone can do the construction side of it, but I think it takes a real invested person, like you said, to learn, to be able to educate, to get the right information to put out there. I was before I came this to this side of town, I stopped over by the mall and was eating a Chipotle. And I saw one of my friend's dads walk in, and he was one of my customers. We built from scratch at the side of his house a complete concrete pad. We put up a pergola, put the solar panels on the roof. And this was last year, and he just had a big smile. He's like, "Man, we love our solar pergola. Like, you guys did a fantastic job." He's like, "Everywhere I go, I tell people about you." And I'm like, "I really appreciate that." And it's those kind of stories that make me happy. And then also, it would be a lie if we all said everything was perfect and pain free. I've had issues in the past. We've done poor work on clients' properties, or we've had to correct it. But the one thing we haven't done is abandon jobs. So even if it's taken longer than necessary, even if it has cost more money, things like that, we've always finished the project, and we've also always fixed any issues and things like that. So it always hasn't been perfect. I remember the first commercial deal I did back in 2020, early 2021. A friend of mine from high school, her dad owns pretty much all the liquor stores in town. And he's a very, very sound businessman. And he said, "Hey, I want solar on my house, and I want solar on my main office." I said, "Okay, cool." I was just starting to be an installer, just gotten my master electricians, but I was still using Iris Energy when they were around. So Iris Energy did the house. And then I had a buddy who was a general contractor that had an electrician that knew what to do. So he's like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. We'll do it. I was like, okay, great. So I locked in both contracts, and we started looking for materials. So I knew absolutely nothing about what I was doing. And I graduated college with an economics degree. So construction and electrical was not my forte. But after 5 years of doing it, I've seen so much. I learned the lingo. I understand it now. And that was a nightmare job. Anything that could go wrong did go wrong on that job. And I remember ordering the solar panels. My friend was like, "Oh, you could probably get them cheaper in Mexico." So not knowing the different UL standards and stuff, I looked all the way down in the Yucatan Peninsula by Cancun, Merida, Mexico. I remember the order came back. The invoice was $14,000. And I was like, "Man, I'm crazy. I'm about to wire $14,000 to a Mexican company I know nothing about." And they were going to send a semi truck all the way from there to Juarez, Mexico, which is our sister city. And that whole week I was biting my nails until my friend, who's an attorney in Juarez, said, "Hey, the panels have arrived and we're getting ready to ship them across to you." And so we did that. And when all said was done with the project, that we still had some issues with it. And I remember he called me to his house. He's like, "Hey, swing by the house. I just want to chat for a bit." And we sat on the couch, and he had his leg crossed, and he was just chilling there. And he's like, "So my commercial solar project." I said, "Yeah." He's like, "You didn't know what the hell you were doing, did you?" I said, "No, sir, I did not." And he's like, "I could tell." But
Yeah.
it was a really good learning experience. You have to start somewhere. And now, I mean, the largest project we've done was a 1.89 megawatt install for the TJ Maxx Marshalls distribution center here in El Paso. We're getting our second Amazon distribution center built. So I'm trying to figure out how to get the solar going there. We were managing for a federal, what is it called? Like Homeland Security for a federal penitentiary. We were managing for a Louisiana company, the solar farm out there. It was like 3,000 panels, 1.2 megawatts. So I've seen some pretty cool systems, worked all the way from Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, all the way down to West Palm Beach, Florida. We had an install. So I've seen a bunch of different markets. And like you said, everything's different. Every authority having jurisdiction, AHJ, every utility company, every municipality, every customer. Even here in Texas, it's funny because when I talk to people and they say, "Oh, where are you located?" I say, "Oh, I'm in El Paso, Texas." "Texas, you're in Central Time." Nope. El Paso is the only city that is in Mountain Time Zone in Texas. And then, as you mentioned, with Texas, we have more utility choices. Well, the rest of Texas is ERCOT. El Paso is El Paso Electric, and it's a monopoly. So we're disconnected from the rest of the grid and we have one choice to work with, and it is extremely difficult here to work with them.
Wow, what a journey. What I
Yeah.
had no idea. That's even crazier. But well, that tells you that you have to be creative in the industry. You have to be extremely creative because there's so many ways around. And with the materials that you got from Mexico, I remember we ordered a nice volume of from materials, mounting materials from Europe, and only after they arrived, we had no idea that we can't even use them for installations because UL certifications and what have you. So to go around and certify them here and use them, the money would be long gone. So we're just essentially reported the loss there and then never used it. Had to essentially dispose it in essentially recycle it. That's what we were able to do the most from it, at least. But I remember doing those mistakes, and if you don't make those mistakes, unfortunately, you will probably not learn those lessons. There's a lot of lessons that you can learn in that side of the business or that industry in general. So much about it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I'm
a lot of people see the nice side of it, like if you're traveling or you have a nice watch or a nice car, and people are just like, "Oh wow, must be nice," but they don't realize what you've gone through to get it. I mean, I've had issues where there were times in my journey where I got down to my last $300 in my bank account, and then a week later you have $20,000 deposit check for another job or this kind of thing. And we're doing a car dealership right now, a family car brand here in town, and the owner is extremely difficult to work with. And I became friends with him. I took him to lunch one time, and it was just kind of like, he was just like, well, a little uneasy. And we just started talking about personal stuff, golf and cars and dogs, and we connected, and now we're like the best of friends. And he gave me his dealership. It's a Honda dealership, and he's building a brand new location from scratch. And a mutual friend that we have, he said, yeah, this is cool, you're getting to do his dealership. It's the largest Honda dealership in Texas. And we were talking at lunch, and he said, no, my dealership is the largest Honda dealership in North America. And I said, oh,
whoa,
wow, that's awesome. He likes everything to be custom, to be big, go big or go home. He has a 165-foot flagpole outside, and our water utility color here is it's like a light blue. That's their color, but that's also his Honda color, like his dealership. So I was pulling up one time and I saw this big long. It looked like a pipeline, and I was like, "Wow, what's the water utility? What are they installing here?" And he's like, "No, that's my flagpole." I said, "Oh my god!" And he said, "Yeah, we're getting our flag custom made from a distributor in Fort Worth, Texas." And the flag, they do all the flags for Camping World for Marcus Lemonis. And he said his flag's 3,600 square feet. I was like, that's bigger than a lot of the low income homes here. And he's like, I
yeah,
know.
wow, I can
Stay
only
tuned.
imagine.
Stay tuned for that. Yeah, that's what we're working on right now. That's a nice one. That was a very nice one.
That's a nice content for sure. Absolutely. And a good
Mhm.
side to see. I mean, unheard of, but they say everything is bigger in Texas. I guess that works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeff, you are given an opportunity to sit across the table from younger Jeff. What advice do you have for him?
Very, very good question. I've thought about this a lot. For me, I think my two biggest hindrances, one on the personal side, relationships. I tend to put a lot of energy into my relationships, which therefore leave my business life a little lacking, if you will. So I think I would tell him to focus more so on what I'm trying to build, put all my energy into that so that I have more time growing up for relationship focus. And then a lot of my mistakes have been financial. So I had a business idea. I immediately went out and tried to go get money. I would borrow money. I would ask for an investment, and I would start peeling my focus away. And all it did was put me in debt, put me owing people money. And the idea fizzled out and didn't work out. So, I mean, I did water softeners. I did roofing treatments. I had a wholesale and a retail dealer's car license to do car sales and a dealership. I did some project management for a general contractor. I had my insurance license. I was just kind of all over the place. And my main business, which I still have to this day, which got me into entrepreneurship, it's called Traction Jack. And back in high school, I'm 32 years old. So this was when I was 15, 16. I've been doing business half my life. I invented and patented these folding traction boards to get vehicles unstuck from sand dunes, snowstorms, mud, that kind of thing. and it did well. It took a lot of investment from a man I'm very grateful with that I was never really able to pay back. But I think he saw this high school kid, and we had an agreement and everything, but it just never panned out. And I'm greatly appreciative to it because that's kind of what got me going into business. I was able to file 2 patents with my patent attorney, so I'm a patent holder. And I got to see manufacturing. I still have a manufacturing facility in Juarez, Mexico that I work with, and they're actually the ones that inspired my solar company name. My solar company is Quantum Solar Power, and they were back in the day. The company was called Plasticos Promex, and then they got bought out by a U.S. company, and now they're called Quantum Plastics. So I was
Mm.
like, huh. I was like, okay, I could use that name. But going back to your original question, I think it's those two aspects which has been my biggest hindrance. I mean, the motivation's there, the energy's there, the problem solving skills are there, the experience is there, the network's there, but I've wasted a lot of time and money in relationships, and I've also wasted a lot of money chasing things that I shouldn't have been chasing.
And you forgot to add that Formula One drivers are making a good salary as well. So if that doesn't work out, you can always go racing cars
Uh,
if
y-
you already have
yeah,
the auto.
I know exactly right. That's half the battle. No, that's actually as far fetched as it sounds. One day, hopefully, with my real estate side, doing commercial real estate investment, I've always said that one day it'd be cool to own a Formula One team. So who knows? Maybe you'll see Quantum team out in Formula one day, and you'll know it's me.
I look forward to that. And don't forget about us that I put a little tiny stone to help you spread the word. I would like
Amen.
some live Formula One driving experience and watch it.
Absolutely.
It's one of the things on our bucket list. We watch with my wife and now my little daughter, and she loves the sound of it. And she's always very attentive when she hears that. So I can already tell I have to work hard to make those things happen and get that boom boom experience for her. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to connect again. We connected last year, and it was a great conversation. And I love to stay in touch. There's always some exciting stories that you have to share, and I look forward to see you grow and see your F1 dreams happen. And of course, all those projects that you mentioned, I know that big projects are ahead of you. Look forward to see that coming, and I look forward
Yeah, and
to
I really appreciate it, Matt. It was a pleasure to see you message me again, and you have my cell phone number, so feel free to call, text anytime, and let's keep in touch. Hopefully, to make it out there to visit you sometime, and we can chat over a coffee or something.
absolutely. Now we have the reason, the Thermal Club. We have to go there together.
Amen. Yes, sir.